Dime, ¿quieres aprender español? Pues tú puedes hacerlo. Sin embargo, la pregunta es, ¿cómo podemos hacerlo rápidamente? Me llamo Austin y hoy vamos a hablar del proceso de aprendizaje y nuestros planes para el futuro. Stick around till the end of the video and I'll share with you the best one thing that will make you fluent that no instructor out there will teach you. There are all sorts of people out there who make crazy claims like, I got fluent in Spanish in 6 weeks and you can too. Well, is it possible? Sure, I suppose it could be. But is it realistic? Is it practical? Is it reasonably attainable for most people? Ni modo. Okay, so how long is it going to take for you, the viewer, to reach fluency? Well, first we got to ask ourselves, what the heck does it even mean to be fluent? Part of the reason why I never used my Spanish with native speakers after finishing school is because I didn't feel fluent enough. Does that sound familiar? I bet there are tons of you out there who have a decent handle on the language so far, but don't want to use it for fear of making a mistake. Well, you're right. Not about the not using it part, but that you will make a mistake at some point. It's bound to happen, and it should happen. The only way that we can learn and grow and improve our skills in the language is by opening ourselves up to the certainty that we will at some point fail. I mean, that's what I'm doing with my channel right now. I'm learning, making mistakes, and making efforts to improve. Now, you might feel nervous about using Spanish with native speakers, but put yourself in their shoes for a moment, especially if you're from the United States. The native speakers that we encounter in our day-to-day life have decided to pack up their life and move to this country to better themselves and the lives of their families. And they contribute so much to our society, our culture, and our economy. With all their efforts to improve their life, they're expected and required to assimilate and learn English. If you ask me, we're the lucky ones, as it's much easier for an English speaker to learn Spanish than the other way around. Spanish is full of patterns and logic and rules, and we only have to pick up on those patterns. English, on the other hand, is such a weird language with so much influence from different languages competing with each other, and we never really know when the rules are applied or ignored. I always like to say that English isn't a language, but five languages on each other's shoulders wearing a long trench coat. Now, native speakers have to contend with all that, and we are choosing to learn their language when we don't really have to. Any mistakes we make will be met with grace and understanding. And the fact that we're willing to engage with them in their native tongue will massively overshadow our failings in their eyes. Now, you might run into a Spanish speaker every now and then who would rather practice their English with you than give you the chance to practice your Spanish with them. And that's totally fine. They're the ones who have to improve their English, but most of the time they'll be delighted to give you the chance to practice what you know and learn from them. So do it. So, back to the question of what it means to be fluent and how long it should take. Well, fluency is a skill that you will never stop improving. But what does it generally mean to be fluent? In my opinion, when you can express your thoughts in the language in a way that is mostly grammatically correct and your vocabulary correctly describes the sorts of things you talk about in your day-to-day life, I'd say we can call that fluent. Now, we're all different and living our own lives, so we're aiming for a focused fluency here, which can handle our most common topics of conversation. For example, I own a rental store, so that's led me to learn all sorts of vocabulary related to machines, parts, tasks, and payments. If you're a police officer, on the other hand, you'd want to learn vocab related to things like crimes, laws, collecting witness statements, and giving instructions. The point is that you should first try to be as fluent as you need for the things you actually talk about. And you can start learning terminology related to other areas as you continue along your learning journey. For me personally, I'd say it was about 12 months before I was able to consistently express myself and comprehend what I'm being told in most conversations. But I have no problem admitting that I'm still learning and growing my fluency. And I'll never be done learning new things in Spanish, just like I'll never be done learning new things in English. For example, I'm still getting used to listening to different accents. There are some accents that I don't really hear often enough, and they still throw me off when I talk with people from those regions. And there's nothing you can do for that other than giving yourself time and opportunities to listen to those accents. There are still times when I hear a word from a certain region when I'm more used to a word from a different region to describe the same thing. And there are times when I know that I know the word, but it escapes me in the moment. So I have to describe what I mean in a more roundabout way. Do all of these challenges mean that I'm not fluent? Who's to say? Does it even matter? This video was taken about 15 months into my learning journey. And although I'm not a great singer and I made a couple of small mistakes, I absolutely loved every moment of it. So, what does it really mean to be fluent? Well, that's really up to you. How long will it take? That's up to you too. But I know for sure that the more time, attention, and effort you give to your learning journey, the faster you'll advance. So, the real point of this video, how do we get there? What are the most effective methods that will help us grow our fluency quickly? Let's talk about it. I've been talking a whole lot in my most recent videos about immersion and diving in to the Spanish speaking world. And that's the best thing you can do. That's what you did when you were a baby learning English, isn't it? You were immersed in the language and you grew your skills over time, repeating what you heard the people around you saying. Well, you're a baby in the Spanish language now, except you're a baby with a fully developed brain that is way better at noticing patterns and making connections. So, if you're still doubting that you can learn Spanish, let me ask you this. Do you really think that a baby can learn a language better than you? You're not about to let yourself be outdone by some stinky little kid who can't go a whole day without crying because he pooped himself, are you? Of course not. So, we're going to do what they do, but better and with intention. Now, the first thing that I recommend is that you watch my entire conjugation playlist from start to finish if you haven't seen it yet. I recommend going back to those videos at any point to use as a reference whenever you get confused about something, and use the timestamp chapters to get right to the information you need when you need it. The reason for this is that having a full understanding of how to conjugate all verb tenses will make identifying how verbs are used in the real world much easier, and you'll quickly pick up on when we choose one mood or tense over another. Once you have a good handle on conjugating the different verb tenses, where do you go from there? So the first thing I'm going to recommend is that you get yourself a good Spanish to English dictionary. The best one that I found so far is SpanishDict.com, and they also have a great app which I recommend. This site offers fun things like a word of the day that teaches you all sorts of vocabulary, including seasonal vocabulary. For example, we recently had Valentine's Day, and the word of the day was enamorarse, to fall in love. They have structured lessons related to specific topics as well. The actual dictionary itself is stellar because it gives you all the different uses for vocab with how it works in different contexts, provides alternatives based on regional usage, provides verb conjugations for all verbs in all tenses, and gives you sample sentences in English and Spanish for all of those usages. The only problem is that their built-in translator isn't too great for sentences. So for that, I recommend DeepL.com, which is an excellent AI-powered translator, which also provides alternative options for the words and phrases used in their translations. These two apps will help you tremendously with learning new vocabulary and phrases as you go. Now, if you want to connect with real people from the Spanish-speaking world who want to learn English from you and teach you their Spanish, there are a lot of language exchange platforms out there which are pretty great. And I recommend HelloTalk for that. Just be careful though, because these are real people talking about real things. Some of them, for example, well, let's just say, les gusta coquetear. If you're into that though, hey, more power to you. And I can totally do a video on that sometime if you want as well. The biggest thing is that you just consume content in Spanish. If you're really serious, I recommend you change the language settings on your phone to Spanish, and that'll help you teach all sorts of new vocabulary. Just be warned, only do this if you already know your way around your phone pretty well. And definitely make sure you can figure out how to get back into language settings to change it back to English if you need to. After that, it's up to you. Go have fun with it. Go out and find music, movies, TV shows, podcasts, internet memes, whatever else you enjoy in Spanish. Make an emotional connection with the content. That's going to strengthen your memory of what you learn, whether it's really funny, happy, sad, inspiring, or infuriating. Just start living your normal life in Spanish whenever possible and talk to yourself in Spanish, repeating what you've been learning throughout your day. Your fluency will increase exponentially using this method, and that's exactly what I did. The most important thing is that you make it fun. That's the best way to stay consistent on your learning journey, is to enjoy the process. So, besides all that, what's the one thing above all else that's going to get you fluent? The one thing no Spanish teacher will ever teach you. The one thing you can't buy, trade, or steal? It's curiosity. As long as you keep asking yourself, how do I say this? Or why do they say that? You'll never stop learning, and you'll be amazed at how fast you progress. So, where do I come in? Well, Profe Austin is going to continue to give you structured lessons on vocabulary, grammatical constructions, phrases, etc. And of course, I'm available for private lessons if you comment on the video or email me at austinteachesspanish@gmail.com to let me know you're interested. However, there is someone you haven't met yet, and I think it's time you've been introduced. ¿Qué hay, mi gente? ¿Qué onda? ¿Qué me cuentas? Me llaman Austin de la calle. Te voy a enseñar muchas cosas divertidas para que aprendas el español que se usa hoy en día. No llevo cobertines ni nada así, pero te voy a ayudar a aprender español. ¿Quieres cantar en español como yo? No te preocupes, amigo. Lo harás. Te veo pronto, carnal. Adiós. Oh boy. Man, that guy is weird, but he loves what he does, so I think you guys will really like him. Anyway, if you see me in the thumbnail dressed up in a tie, you'll know it's a structured lesson. And if you see Austin de la Calle in his street clothes, you'll know we're doing an immersion exercise. I'm going to try to do one lesson for roughly every 2 to 3 immersion exercises, but we'll just see how you guys like it and go from there. Let me know if you have any suggestions for Profe Austin on lessons, or if you want Austin de la Calle to share something specific with everyone. Remember, fluency is not a destination, but a practice. So keep up the good work, stay curious, and don't forget to have fun. Nos vemos pronto. Ciao.